Carolina.
Making 15 straight wins for UCLA's women's basketball team. The second-ranked Bruins blasted 8th-ranked Iowa yesterday, 88-65. Their national best 8th win over a ranked opponent this year. Angela Dugalich led all scorers with 22, also had 5 steals. Bruins 21-1. They will next host Rutgers on Wednesday. And head coach Corey Close joins us now for our big interview. Coach, you guys have been so dominant, just one loss all year. You haven't lost since November, and since then you've only had one game decided by single digits. As you look at this run that your team has been on,
let's interview the head coach for the women's basketball team for UCLA is Corey Close.
Standards of where they want to go, and even when the score doesn't reflect that, they've been willing to be held to what it's going to take to, win at the highest levels and to be prepared for March. And, I think that's not easy to do when everybody's patting you on the back and everybody's, getting a lot of press and all the different things to say, hey, no, improvement is our standard. Being present is our standard. Being a great teammate is our standard. That's really what's been the most impressive to me.
One thing that I think is so amazing, Coach, is the balance. Look, Lauren's an All-American and just a great, great dominant player. But
Absolutely.
You look at this team, you've had 5 different players lead you in scoring at least 2 times this year. You don't have anyone in the top 10 in the Big Ten in terms of points per game. What does that balance do for you in terms of making you guys so successful?
Well, I just ask our opposing coaches, right? You never know on any given night. You take away one, there's somebody else to step up. I just think it increases our margin for error. So Lauren doesn't have to shoulder it all. And I think that's just such a huge thing. We're just putting people in situations where they have to pick their poison, and we just see whose night is it, who's hot, who's got the matchup we like, and, we just ride that wave. And I think in order to take advantage of depth, you have to have selflessness as the complementary component. And that has really been what's allowed us to do what we're doing right now, is maintaining that selfless attitude that winning and making each other better is of a higher value. And that's the only way depth plays out in a positive way.
You made your first ever NCAA Final Four as a program last year. I know it didn't end exactly the way you wanted it to, but still an incredible accomplishment. How have you used that accomplishment from last year, and maybe the fact that it didn't end with a national championship? How have you used it as you've looked to this year and kind of applied it to this team?
Well, I think that 2 things can be true at the same time, right? We wanted to celebrate and say, hey, that was the most successful season since 1978. That's an incredible thing. Yeah. And we learned so much. 14 weeks as the #1 team in the country, all these great celebration things. And then at the same time, we got embarrassed once we got to the Final Four. And what led to that? What got exposed there? And being willing to do the work to go, man, how are we not prepared at the highest levels? And that starts with me, right? Is my learning in that. How did we not come ready to play our best basketball on that stage, and learning from, those margins that we're willing to be held to? And I think that's sort of goes to your earlier question, is what's impressed us. Well, we've talked about that a lot. Like, if we're going to want a different result than we got last time, then we have to have a different process that leads us to that place. And they've been really willing to hold the mirror up. They've had teachable hearts and really had a quest for improvement and mastering their craft, and taking it's sort of the pain of regret leading to the pain of discipline. And I think they've really taken that on, and it's showing right now.
Coach, we obviously wanted to have you on to talk about your team, but we also wanted to have you on to talk a little bit about Play for K. This is in honor of Kay Yow, the great NC State coach who passed away from breast cancer in 2009. And women's college basketball has really used her cause as a rallying point to raise money, to raise awareness for breast cancer research. Just give us a sense of kind of what this cause has meant, broadly speaking, for women's basketball.
Well, it's interesting. I remember as a little kid, she was someone I looked up to so much. She, she had this really genuine relationship with her players. I really admired her faith. So she was this icon to me. But then as I got older and got to know her as a colleague, her greatest desire is to use, her difficult situation in this context to rally coaches around where maybe we would maybe distance ourselves because we're competitors or, might choose to just only have our own institutional hats on. She had the strength to take her own battle and go, you know what? It's so important. We're going to come up with something that rallies us around together to do something bigger than ourselves. And that's where the Play for K really came from. The pink game, the raising awareness, the vision for what the KAL Foundation is doing, both practically and emotionally in the game of women's basketball. And I just am so thankful that the profession has adopted it the way that they have. They have raised an incredible amount of money for women's cancer research. And, it's been an incredibly unifying thing. And it's also been a way to honor the way that Coach Yao, her legacy and the way that she impacted the game.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see. And we just finished NABC on the men's side, the Coaches versus Cancer and the Suits and Seekers Week, and this is the equivalent on the women's side. And to your point, I think one of the things that's so amazing about it is the way that it unifies people who normally compete against one another, working together. And I know this for you has hit really close to home. Jan Cloyd, who was one of the great boosters of your program, passed away from breast cancer. Just kind of give me a sense of the personal nature of this for you.
Yeah, that picture that's shown right there, that's her jersey. I was in her home when she passed, and her family went and got that jersey out of her closet, and it says Cloyd on the back, and honored our chancellor's wife right there, Dr. Kanal, with me on that. And she was an incredible mentor of mine. She's a leader in the banking world. She was one of the very first people that came behind my mission when I got to UCLA. And then, to see, every year we put the names on these cards of people that inspire us. And the sad part is, and you're seeing it right here, the sad part for me is that there's more and more names on there. And what we're trying to do with the Pink Games and Play for K is that we're trying to put less and less names on there because of the research and the difference that things that the raising money and awareness are doing. But Jan was personally incredibly influential for me. And I often think, what would Jan do right now? And she's right up there for next to Coach Wooden in terms of her influence on me and my leadership. And, it hits home. And I want to honor her in not only the way that I run the program and our team, but also the way in which we tirelessly build awareness and raise money for women's cancer research.
Well, the Play for K game this year for UCLA, February 15th against Indiana. You have a few games between now and then. I mentioned the game against Rutgers this week, and I certainly don't want to have you imply that you're going to overlook that game. I know every game is big and important. I do want to focus a little bit on that road trip, though. Michigan and Michigan State coming up after the Rutgers game next weekend and then into next week. Both those teams really are elite this year. To what extent have you watched them, and what stands out about each one of them?
Well, first, I do want to say about Rutgers that my associate head coach of 14 years is now the associate head coach there, and that's Shannon Perry LaBeouf, and we are going to honor her before that game. And so we are actually really looking forward to that game to be able to say thank you to her and to honor her for all she gave to UCLA women's basketball. But it's undeniable we're on a crash course on that, a very important, Michigan road trip with both Michigan and Michigan State playing so incredibly well. What stands out to me, and I have watched them quite a bit. I'm just sort of a hoop head. I watch every game I can, get my hands on. But, is both Robin and Kim are just such elite competitors and leaders. Their teams are just marked by toughness and, belief. They make each other better. They play extremely hard. And so I think it's going to test us greatly. And so it's going to force us to go to another level. The different styles of play, but both very defensive minded, both very aggressive in nature. And honestly, that's one of the ways we lost to Texas, is we didn't handle that as well. So I think it's going to give us a barometer of how much we've grown against that particular style of play. Lots of respect for those two programs. They're playing extremely well. Our whole entire team was watching that game yesterday in East Lansing while we were having pregame meal, and I just can't wait. What a great environment. What a great testament to what the Big Ten has done for women's basketball and raising the level. What a great testament to the depth of competitive greatness in the conference. Just really thankful to be a part.
Well, I know the Big Ten reciprocates that. Thankful that UCLA is a part of this conference because you've obviously done a ton to help elevate women's basketball in this league in just a short year and a half. You've been a part of it. Thanks for your time, Coach. And again, thank you for all you do to raise awareness, to raise money for breast cancer research, such an important cause, and really thrilled to have you on today to talk not just about your team, but about that as well.
Well, thank you for honoring it, lifting it up. We're all in this fight together, and just want to move it forward. You know, Coach Yao used to say, when life kicks you, just make sure it kicks you forward, and hopefully we're living that out in her honor.
You certainly are. Corey Close. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Great